Hi, I've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Tuesday. Interesting things going on in the Atlantic over here. Here's the remnants of Julia dying over here in the northeast Atlantic. They finally named Lisa over here west of the Cape Verde Islands, and this is going to be a storm that struggles with dry air for her entire life. This may not even make it to a hurricane. We'll see how it goes, but she's going to be meandering around up here in the northeast Atlantic, eventually curving out to sea. She will be around for a while, but not a big deal for anyone out here. Just another name topping off the list and adding ACE index to the season total. And check out what's going on over here in the Caribbean. Remember I said to watch the Caribbean light up with convection as soon as Igor left the scene. He has done that, and now here it is blowing up over here. We've got a tropical wave, and Invest 95L has been declared for this area. Some low level turning at the surface here, no closed circulation, but this whole area is going to be coming west or west-northwest along the north coast of South America over the next several days, and we may see this try to develop east of Central America over here by the time it gets north of Panama in a few days. And this is going to be something that needs to be watched very closely, as it will get drawn up into probably the eastern Gulf of Mexico by the time we get later into next week. And check out what's going on to the north over here. See where Igor has left a big, massive area of subsidence. No clouds in here whatsoever. Lots of sinking air, diverging air at the surface, drawing all the air down, and this is something that is helping to focus upward motion in here. If we look at the SST anomalies, you can see Igor's path out over here, and check out what's now showing up on the microwave imagery. All this cold water that has developed where the hurricane went through in here, and all this cold water is helping to focus where the water is warm in here and get air to rise, focusing upward motion convergence in here. And this is something that's really setting up the Southwest Atlantic Basin to light up. Igor was probably the big last hurrah for the Cape Verde season. Went out with a bang, cooled all the water in here, and now you focus all the warmth in here that's left over, and we're really going to start to light things up over here. If you look at the European model day 4, we can see our little system 95L trying to develop east of Nicaragua here, and these areas of Central America are really going to have to be on the watch to see how fast this tries to develop and how much rain and wind it can bring to these areas. And then this is going to end up getting drawn north. If we go out to day 7, we see it starts winding up and gets drawn northwest east of the Yucatan Peninsula, and then by day 10 we have a big problem in the eastern Gulf of Mexico with the model trying to show a major hurricane west of Florida over here. And notice how the trough comes down and picks this up, and we might be wondering, well, look at how zonal the flow is over here. Where does this trough come from all of a sudden trying to pick this up? Because the model tries to jam it in here with a big old ridge over to the north, and then all of a sudden it's getting drawn north. Well, the reason is because the simple reason is because of the pattern. When you have all this heat building up in here, this is a lot of heat, and again, notice this yellow paint bomb underneath the surface low. This is a bigger sub 582 decameter dimple in the 500 millibar height field than we saw with Igor when he was becoming Cat 4, and this is only a 988 millibar low. So this is indicating a whole lot of heat building in this area, and we have a lot of heat. We need to get rid of it. It can't go straight into the East Pacific because the water is far too cold. That is not an effective distribution of heat right there. So you want to get it poleward into the mid-latitudes. Nature's going to find a way to pull it out over here. The atmosphere needs to get rid of it. The pattern is such that you're going to set up a corridor for heat to get directed out of the tropics. This is the last area of the Atlantic that has not gotten rid of its heat. The ocean heat potential in here is insanely high. It needs to get tapered down. We're going to start getting storms in the Southwest Atlantic Basin. They're going to get drawn up toward the poleward regions, and this is why I'm so concerned about the United States coastline as we head into October. It's going to be probably the most dangerous month for our shores over here. We can see that the Canadian is also showing a major storm moving into the North Gulf Coast in 10 days. And if we look at the pattern over here, this is the European 8 to 10 day 500 millibar height. We got the trough in the Gulf of Alaska favors the ridge building into the west central United States, and this is a kind of pattern where you're pretty much going to spare the western Gulf. The corridor, you can see the trough and the weakness in the storm sitting down here. This is going to get drawn northeast in such a pattern. The corridor is right here for the storm to go into, and you're really not going to get it back into Texas with the ridge sitting in the way over here. You don't move storms toward ridges. It's going to go through the weakness in here, so this is probably, as I said yesterday, New Orleans eastward problem. That doesn't mean let your guard down in here, but this pattern would result in a storm going into the eastern or central Gulf or even farther east. So this is something we're going to have to be watching for very closely, and if you look at this pattern This is a lot of heat building in here. Look at how low these heights are, sitting beneath, ridging over the top. This is the classic pattern that will give you United States landfalls. Deep purple showing up in here, and again, these are low 500 millibar heights, but they are not indicating cold air aloft like they would be in the mid-latitudes. For example, this right here indicates cold air aloft. This in the tropics does not. When you have warm water, oh, my mouse is going nuts. Okay, when you have warm water in here, this does not mean that there's cold air aloft. This means that this actually indicates heat that is rising and lowering pressures within the air column, lowering the height field. And when you see deep purples like this is extraordinarily large buildup of heat in here as the storm is winding up, and this is going to get drawn north. And we'll have to see if it can really try to bundle. If it does, it's going to be a large and powerful storm, probably impacting the North Gulf Coast, and we're going to have to see if we can get a major hit out of this. A bit too far out yet to speculate on what may happen in the Gulf of Mexico if this gets drawn in, but the message is there. We've been warning that a storm will come in, draw in the monsoonal trough, wind up, and get drawn north towards the United States coastline near the end of September as we head into the early part of October, and this pattern is likely to continue thereafter, and we will probably get more than one of these trying to threaten our shores during the next month or so. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.